The whole concept of American Rag happened by accident. Basically, I've been doing the same thing in retail since 1970, and that's kind of operating on intuition and gut and things that I think will work, and sort of a disrespect for the rules. I don't know what traditional retailing is about. We're not, for example, about price at all. We're only about style. I moved back from Europe to San Francisco in 1984, and American Rag in Los Angeles started in 1985. We're in our 21st year. When we first opened, we were just a pure vintage store. We just sold vintage and a very little bit of new clothing, but little by little by little, we built what we call lifestyle retailing. Basically, the transition from vintage to emerging designers, to accessories, to purses, to CDs, to sofas, chairs, mirrors, rugs, everything is just because I found it to be fun. We have our interior design and homewares division, which is Maison next door. We have our restaurant, and now we have just licensed a new concept called World Denim Bar, and we've taken the building next door to realize that retail concept. My favorite thing about the store is that the store is always changing.
So short. I've got to keep on searching.
Decades is high-end vintage collectible clothing, so it's really pre-1980s. We focus on cocktail and evening wear. We don't do basics. I mean, if you come in here, you're coming for something special. If it's a suit, it's a Coco Chanel haute couture suit from the late 50s. If it's an evening gown, it's a Halston dress straight out of Studio 54.
At DecadesTwo, you'll find the latest Chanel boucle jacket, to a Manolo Blahnik shoe, to a Chanel bag. So we concentrate most of our clothing, we're concentrating in the last 4 to 5 years. But we also go back to the 80s, and we let the upstairs store kind of take the 30s through the 70s. So we're split by decades, basically.
I really wanted to create a vintage atmosphere that was not intimidating, that was based on old school retail. Every single customer who comes into the store gets a thank you note. I mean, that's how we really built this business. The men and women who shop at these stores, they're the same people who go to Barney's, who go to Neiman's, who go to Maxfield. They just want a much more individual take on fashion. They're not the cookie cutter consumer. They're the fashion arbiters of this city and ultimately of the country and world.
Kitson's just over 5 years old. It's my middle name. It was a concept I thought of because I had a store in Canada and I just brought it to California because I wanted to live where the sunshine was. We were just carrying accessories and a few clothing items and jewelry and some gifts and some apothecary. So we brought in a lot of fashion merchandise, jeans and t-shirts and great tops, and then we had a men's section. Now, obviously, more than 60% of our business is fashion merchandise, contemporary clothing. It's like a general store that fits into the LA lifestyle. Well, I feel like a lot of young Hollywood shop here. The publicity that Kitson's gotten in the last year has just put it, over the top. People want to come to the store because they're curious, and that gets people through our door now. What is Kitson? It's new on the block. It's new in LA. What is that? Even though we've been around 5 years, I think in the last year and a half, 2 years, it's come to the forefront of retailing in LA.
My name is Jeannie Lee. I'm Sophia Banks, and we're at Satine. Our store's been open for a little bit more than 3 years. Our clientele are young Hollywood, people who love fashion,
Stylists and just all the well-dressed girls in Hollywood
who are looking for something different that they can't get anywhere else.
I love this street. I like the energy about it. I like that it's a lot of small independent businesses. I like that the restaurants, the vibe of the street's amazing. There's a real neighborhood feel.
Decades and DecadesTwo.
Well, I'll just say first off, thanks to everybody from our staff at Decades and DecadesTwo, Jared, Catherine, Michael, Alex, Kimberly, Gustine, Lizzie, Megan,
Marta.
Marta. Thanks again for everything you do for us.
And we just want to really thank all the closets in LA that have supplied the store. Decades will be 10 years old in May, and DecadesTwo 8 years next year. So thank you, you compulsive shoppers. You keep us in business. And I'd like to just congratulate Jennifer on putting together this event. I think it's quite an accomplishment, and we're very honored to win. Thank you.
Thank you.